Blessed be your name when the sun's shining down on me, when the world's all as it should be. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name on the road marked with suffering, where there's pain in the offering. Blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, Lord, blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Amen. Can I have a seat? You know, a lot of things have changed for many of us since we've been here at Colonial, and now we're going to have a message from this current senior pastor, Jim West. And so, Brad, if you go ahead and fire that up.
Hello, college and career class, revisited. This is Pastor Jim. I'm the lead pastor here at Colonial. I want to apologize that I cannot be with you this weekend. I'm going away to Virginia to do my niece's wedding, and she changed the date from November to September after this had all been planned, and so I cannot not be there. I want to tell you that I'm very familiar with so many of your friends from the college and career class, those of you who are coming from out of town or just coming back to Colonial for the first time in a long time. You're most welcome here, and I'm so glad that this weekend has been set up, and many thanks to Ron Wheeler and all that put it together. I want to share with you just a little bit about me quickly. During the time of your career class, I was having a very similar experience in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the ministries of Providence Baptist Church, a great youth ministry there. And I can picture the scene of your experience with all the Michael W. Smith and Friends of Forever, and David Neeson, River Region, just all the great, powerful things that were happening in that generation in time. And I also can relate with the fact that things are not as they were. And a lot of us are going through undesired transitions in our lives, from aging parents to our kids going off to college, transitioning to empty nesters. Sometimes things have not worked out in our career or our marriages as we hoped. And so just something I want to give to you as a gift and an apology that I can't be with you this weekend is the Fertile Desert series. It's a series that I delivered in the fall of 2010 about undesired transition, about how sometimes God does His best work when we're in the desert of undesired transitions. And I just want to show you a quick clip of that right now, and then I'll come back and talk to you just a second.
And so that's where we pick up the story in Exodus 14:10. As Pharaoh approached the Israelites, they looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Did we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians'? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." And this is the picture we're going to be working with for the next couple of weeks. The desert. The desert is the place we are in when we're out of wherever we just were. but we haven't quite arrived to the place that God is leading us. It's not the destination, it's the transition. It's the land between the former life and the new life. And it is a new reality for a time in which we make this difficult transition. But it's not just a transition. Most of the time, the desert in our lives is an undesired transition. It's not something we were looking for to happen. It's not something we anticipated happening. It's not something that we asked for. It just is. And it's typically unpleasant and something we would rather avoid if we could. I'll never forget the day in 1984 when my parents walked into my room. I was in the 8th grade. We lived in a small town in Wisconsin, and they walked into my room and they said, "We're moving to Charlotte, North Carolina." And I said, "Well, you are." I was first in my class. I was the starting point on the basketball team, tailback on the football team, the fastest guy in the 400-meter relay, the guy who got the solos of the choir. I had recently entered into popular status because I parted my hair down the middle and got a members-only jacket. I mean, I had arrived. The world was my oyster. And I had a girlfriend, and I had best friends, and in a few months I was going to start high school. I mean, never mind that my parents had lost everything in the recession, never mind that we'd been scraping by just to survive. My life was perfect as far as I was concerned and as far as I can remember. The next several months was an undesired transition in my life, and it landed me and my family squarely in the desert. And this is happening every day, all around us. You know, just this past week, several people we know and love have entered into the desert. The Peterson family received a phone call. Their 17-year-old son had lost control of his car. He was rushed to the hospital. He didn't make it. It's every parent's worst nightmare. Another friend of our church has 3 children. All 3 of them are currently in ICU after their van flipped over. A man in our congregation, like so many others, came to realization this week that his family is buried under insurmountable debt, and there is no end in sight. He can't increase his earnings, he can't risk quitting his job to find another job with a higher salary, and now there's even greater need than ever because now there's this illness in the family. Others walked into work this week only to learn that this week or this day would be their last in that position. Others walked out of the doctor's office this week with this glazed look of fear and confusion. It's cancer. What now? Every week I hear these stories, and you do too. A husband learns that his wife has fallen for another man she met in the chat room. Parents learn of their children's addiction to meth. A faithful daughter begins to realize that her mom no longer even recognizes who she is due to dementia or Alzheimer's disease, and she struggles with the fact that she can no longer provide the care that is necessary for her aging parent in her home. You know, sometimes we get into the desert suddenly when that phone rings and we receive a piece of information that just blows our world apart. And sometimes it happens gradually and we can see it coming. And this change is happening and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Either way, if we live beyond the age of 10, we will experience the desert in this life without exception. No one can avoid it. But if we look into God's Word, we'll find that there's a lot we can learn about this season of the desert. And I'm just going to make 3 quick observations in kind of setting up this series for you today. But we're going to drill down into this for the next several weeks. And the 3 observations are this. The desert is a departure from where we've been. And there's no going back. Number 2, time in the wasteland is not wasted. God has a purpose for the desert. And point number 3, the desert is not our destination. It's the necessary path to God's intended destination for your life and mine.
So that's just a teaser of kind of what the series is about. I really feel that it has been one of the best received series that I've done since I've been here, just because so many people are going through undesired transitions. And so I hope that you'll pick up a free copy of that and watch it if that is something that the Holy Spirit leads you to do. And it'll give you an opportunity to know me a little bit better. And I hope that you will come back around and let me know when you're in town. I would love to meet with any and all of you over a cup of coffee and just get to know you better. But again, you're most welcome. I hope you have a great weekend. and God bless you.
Brandon, where are those? They're just out there. Okay. And if you don't, ask Brandon where to go. You know, it is so cool to have Linda listen with us today, and she wanted to bring us up to date on what she's doing to her family. And so, Linda, let's see where you. Oh, there she is. So come on up and bring us up to date.
Ted would be so proud and pleased about this reunion weekend. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it as well. I thought I would just bring you up to date on as he used to refer to us as the Von Nissen family, or Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The Seven Dwarfs have grown a lot. When we married in '75, I had 3 and Ted had 4, and they ranged in age from 3 to 13. And the eldest is Mark, who is actually 50 today. And he lives in Iowa. And then there is Big Scott, because we each have a Scott. And he and Karen and their family live in Lawrence, where he is a firefighter and a paramedic. And his oldest son is getting ready to go into the Air Force. And then he has a son who's a junior in high school, and a daughter who is a freshman. And then they have a little new one who will be 3 soon. And after Scott is Nancy and David Lingner, and they live down by Branson in Ozark, Arkansas. In Omaha, Arkansas. That's it. And their eldest, Laura, is a sophomore this year at College of the Ozarks. And Summer is a senior in high school. And then there's Christian and, just give me a second. Christian and Teddy and Andrew and Nathan. And so there's 7 there. Then Becky and her husband, Devin Roth, live in Paola, and they also have 7 children. They have 6 little girls, and, well, they're not all so little now, 6 girls and 1 little boy. And their eldest is 14, and their youngest is a year. Then there's Lucinda and her husband, Darren Hall, and they live in Lee Summit, and they have the triplets, and the triplets started middle school this year. And next is Rochelle and Ryan Terrell, and they live at Lake Vera. And Lucinda and Rochelle go here and to church. And they have 3, a middle schooler, 7th grader, and a 5th grader, and a 3rd grader. And then Scott Edward and Sarah Nissen live here in Kansas City, and they go to Leewood Pres. And they just had their 4th, which their oldest is 10 and the youngest is 5 weeks. And so that just brings you up to date. That makes 28 grandchildren. Ted always said he wanted his quiver full, and believe me, it's bursting. We try to get together several times throughout the year, but we always make it for Easter and Christmas, so they'll all be coming for Christmas. I still substitute teach now and then, and I'm a wedding coordinator here at the church, and they've been kind enough to let me stick around. So thank you for letting me be here this weekend, and it's so good to see all of you.
Okay, speaking of coolness, it is so cool to have Mike McCoo back with us to share. Yeah, go ahead, get up, Mike. And Mike was also a big part of the decadent 80s around here, and for a couple of years sang in just about every wedding that came through here. I mean, so Mike, it's great great to have you. Do you need anything else? I'll lower these stands. Just raise your hands and be singing away. Oh yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's crazy, man.
Dude. This is really cool, just to be back here. You know, when you were a kid and you came back to some place that you had grown up, everything always looked much smaller than you remembered it. But I was an adult when I was here. I was only about 19, I think, so that makes me, what, 35? All right, I got it. I always tell my boys, I have 5 sons, and, you know, Ted was kind of like one of those guys that I just aspired to. So when it said be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, I thought it meant us personally. But anyway, so my boys always tell me that I'm actually 50, and I am. But we're going to share some new songs with you, maybe a song or two that you might recall, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. As they say, whatever you learned here, you took it somewhere else, didn't you? No matter where you went. And so I actually did a lot of children's ministry. You have to when you have 5 kids. They expect you to at least do some work in there after that. And this really fit really well. I heard Dave Ruff talking earlier, and he's talking about this thing called discipleship. And I thought, how amazing. One of the first songs that I wrote for the kids there was a song called I Want to Be a Disciple.
Child of God, I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to give them everything I've got. Let's do it again, guys. Here we go. I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to be a child of God. I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to give them everything I've got. I want to be a disciple. I want to be a disciple. Some people want to be a millionaire. Some people want to be a famous football player. Some people want to be a big-time movie star. Drive up in a limousine, everybody wonder who you are. Make a lot of money, fortune and fame, but it won't matter if you don't know his name. I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to be a child of God. I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to give him everything I've got. situation. No sitting on the front porch. Let's try that again. That was too fast, too many words. Don't want to take advantage of a perfect situation. No sitting on the front porch, sipping lemonade on Grace Plantation. I want to follow him. I want to follow Jesus. I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to be a child of God. I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to give him everything I've got. I want to be a disciple. Oh yeah, yeah. I want to be a disciple. So I was kind of looking around at some of the songs that I've done, and if you're really tired, go ahead and sit down. Oh no, it's okay. I'll stay standing. Don't worry about me. That's all right. My oldest son is, I'm not supposed to say this out loud, so he's in the Green Beret. Or as his brothers say, he's learned how to kill people with a Kleenex. So, which is really cool if you're a guy. But anyway, and my 18-year-old called me to let me know that Hardin Simmons won today. I know you're wondering where Hardin Simmons is, right? Anybody know where it's at? Abilene, all right. Did I tell you that earlier? Yeah, okay. Anyway, he got to dress out for varsity. He's a freshman, but he's pretty excited. Didn't get to play yet. I told him next time, you know, you got to have something to work for. One of the things that I always wish I had done here was to go to Guatemala. How many people went to Guatemala? Yo, baby. That's a lot of folks. You know, I had an opportunity to go to, when I moved down to Texas, to go to Haiti. I've gone about 3 different times down there. And the last time was before the big earthquake. And I was just so moved by the people there. And I thought, man, I was missing out on this when everybody was going to Guatemala before. I wish I'd gone then. But one of the other songs that I had written was focused around missions, and it's called Let's Go. Let's go into the world, they know He is the way, the truth, the light. Come on. All right. Now, I know that there's got to be at least one lady out there who has a mint in her purse. Just throw it at me. I need a mint. My voice is going away. You know, allergy medicine dries you out. Did you know that? All right. Ricola. Oh, yeah, man. I always wanted one of those. All right, cool. Oh. You know, better that than tomatoes, you know. I'm really, I actually like tomatoes. Didn't I put some, oh yes, there it is. Thank you, Lord. Paper towel. You thought it was like some magic, you know, word. Man, it's like hotter than the average blind date, you know what I mean? Did I just say that a lot? I get in trouble for that a lot. All right, here we go. For a lot of years, whenever I would do a concert here, I would talk about my life and my past. I talked about my father. He was married 7 times, and I used to say that on the 7th wife he rested. Biblical that way, you know? And my dad, he went to become a visitor of the government. He was a guest in a small 12 by 12 area. And for a lot of years, I kind of wrote him off. And I got married back in '92, and before I did, my wife had said, you know what, you're a Christian, you need to get reconciled with your dad. She said, you know what forgiveness is. And I'm like, don't use the F word. And 10 years ago, my father became a Christian. And he used to say that it was my life that had led him, and I thought, boy, that's kind of a stretch, but the last 5 years, see, my father died last May. And it would have been a really hard funeral if I didn't know that my dad was in the presence of the Lord. The last 3 years, he had such a close walk with God that he went to a small church, a little Nazarene church in Warsaw, Missouri. Tiny little town, population, you and me. I mean, just a tiny little thing. The Sunday before he died, he got to stand up and give his testimony. Now, the irony was I didn't get to hear it because I wasn't there, didn't know about it. I had bought a house on Friday night, called him up, and he was so excited. He said, I'm so proud of you. God has just so many great things for you. Told me he loved me, and the next morning I got a call that said that he had passed away. On the way up to the funeral, I was going through my new phone. It's got one of those visual voicemails, you know, where you get to see whether or not you want to listen. And I missed a call from my dad. He had called me a couple days before, and it was 3 minutes long. He never talked 3 minutes. Obviously not like me. He accidentally called me, and he was sharing with somebody his testimony. And for 3 minutes, I got to hear about my father's relationship with Christ. I know God did that on purpose. Because God loves us on purpose.
pastor friend of mine asked me to, he said, there's an old song called He Lives. He said, you know, I love that hymn, but I just kind of wish somebody would rearrange it. And so I decided to go ahead and take this old hymn, and you'll recognize it. It's got a few words changed here, updated a little bit, but not much. But the melody's a little bit different. It's just called He Lives. I serve the risen Savior, and He's in the world today. And I know that He is living, no matter what they say. I see His hand of mercy and the wonder of His grace, and He is always with me. Only He can give me strength. And He lives, He lives. Jesus lives. He walks with me and talks with me. The long last never will. He lives, He lives. My Jesus lives. You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. And all the world around me sees my love and care. Sometimes my heart grows weary, but I will not despair. I know that He will lead me through each and every storm, till the day when He appears, when He comes to take me home. And He lives, He lives. Jesus lives. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, He lives. My Jesus lives. You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. Jesus lived and died for me, and He rose up from the grave. He broke the chains of hell that day, and He called out my name. And forever changed, forever changed my name. Because He lives, He lives. Jesus lives. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, He lives.
in me.
I have no idea when I started, but I think, guys, I'm going to go ahead and move to the last two songs. And, because I think I talk too much. At least that's what my kids say. I mentioned that my dad had gone to be with Jesus. And I got to talk to the pastor, and it was awesome to hear stories I didn't even know. You know, parents or kids don't always get to hear what their parents say about them. And I got to hear a lot of really wonderful things. And then my wife was the one that actually had instigated the whole thing. The irony was that 5 years ago, she had asked for a divorce. And so, about 6 months ago, I kind of figured out that maybe she wasn't coming back. It was not the easiest time. And remember those 7 wives that my dad had? For the first time, I realized the pain that he had gone through when my mother had died when I was 4. How lonely he must have felt. There's so much that we have no control over in our lives. God wasn't going to take away her free will in order for me to have what I want. And so I keep praying that God will open that door. God can. Don't doubt it for a second. About the second year through, I one night was up real late, and this real simple song, but it really just talked about my faith journey and how God had forgiven me. We talk about it so easily, and sometimes it's not that we take it for granted. I think that we forget how wonderful and what a miraculous miracle it is that the Son of God came to die for us.
Born to die, to live as Christ, to be crucified and raised with Him, created for praise, to bring glory to His name. For He is my God, and I am His. All my sins are forgiven. I've been redeemed by the blood of my Jesus. My heart and soul made clean. Now I stand in grace and mercy. I count it all for loss, for the love of my Savior and the price paid on the cross. All my sins are forgiven, and I've been redeemed by the blood of my Jesus. My heart and soul made clean. when the world seems so heavy and life so hard to bear, when my heart still is breaking, still I know that God is there. For all my sins are forgiven, I've been redeemed by the blood of my Jesus, my heart and soul made clean. And there's no pain or sorrow that Jesus does not know, for he carried and crucified my sin, then he rolled away the stone. Born to die, to live as Christ, to be crucified and raised with him. We're going to do one item. We're going to, no, Ellen. Where's Ellen? Ellen. Yeah, this is rehearsal, so you can come back for the real thing. Yeah, there we go. And, yeah, hello. Good. All right, here we go. I guess I'm going to sing from here, and you can be right somewhere near. There might be a problem. I got it, no problem. I was just thinking of this. Yeah, that's what I meant. You know, this song, I had finished writing it like 5 minutes before. I was in the middle of writing it, and at one of our retreats that we did. And there we go. We're going to see if that works. And I sang it, and it was like, I turned around and really wasn't sure if they liked it, because everybody was like crying. I thought, man, it really sucked. They were feeling sorry for me. And it was one of those songs that I really wasn't sure how anyone would take, other than the fact that it meant a lot to me to write it, because you see, when I came here, and is it the silver one, Troy? I'm thinking it is. When I came here, it was kind of weird that I got here at all. I was in the basement of my apartment singing songs, and my room, I didn't have a roommate at the time, but there were these people, weird people. Terry Clevenger and Kim Clevenger were down washing their clothes in the same room as I was playing and singing, and they said, "Hey, you want to come sing in the bars and stuff?" Well, kind of like that. It was, what was it called? A West?
Power Light Cafe.
Yes, that's what I said. The Power Light Cafe. And I thought that was really cool because, you know, they're not going to know if I'm any good anyway if they come in and they've had so much to drink. And then, about 6 months later,
I called Terry, and I said, hey, anybody needs a roommate? At first he told me no.
Should have stuck to it.
Yeah, I packed your lunch. I can't expect you not to eat it, right? Yeah, there we go. And sure enough, he needed a roommate not long after that. And then he invited me to this thing called Tuesday night fellowship stuff. And they were like singing about Jesus and all this. And I'm like, I love God, but they're Presbyterians. I mean, they were black and white and never smile, right? Because I went to a Baptist school and we didn't dance. But as they say, that's the story of how I ended up here. And it was at a time in my life when I needed friends. And I found friends like I'd never known before. I found friends for a lifetime and friends for eternity. And when I was down in Texas this last 5 years ago, it was interesting how God meets our needs wherever we are. And the one key thing that I found out, what causes things to happen like what happened here, is when people are willing to take a risk and cause a relationship to happen. When we step out of our comfort zone and we're willing to reach out to somebody that might be hurting, it's amazing what it does. We become the arms of Jesus. And I'm really hoping I remember this now after all that, but we'll see how it goes. Tell you what you're singing? It's called A Friend. It's I'll look at you.
Someone to talk to at the end of the day. And when you're feeling so sad, they always seem to know what to say. They lift you up when others put you down. And when you feel like giving up, you'll hear the sound of someone praying, Lord, give her rest and the strength to stand the test. Stay by her side, Lord, lead and guide her through the storm and the rain. And if there's a way I can help her bear the burdens, let me be there. Lord, let me share the pain. 'Cause she's my friend. Friend, someone to hold you when you feel alone, to share all that you've gone through and all that God has shown to you. They lift you up when others put you down. And when you feel like giving up, you hear the sound of someone praying, Lord,
give him rest and the strength to stand the test. Stay by his side, Lord, lead and guide him through the storm and the rain. And if there's a way I can help him